Minnesota is known as the land of 10,000 lakes. It's also farm country, where it's not unusual to see a co-op grain elevator. But here's a fairly uncommon co-op, built more than 60 years ago, and still going strong.
I'm Keith Larson, and this is my 1952 E2 co-op. It's just a nice little tractor, and it looks good, especially this color. I like the color.
That color is pumpkin orange. It's the color the Cockshutt Company painted the co-op tractors it built as part of a deal with farmer co-ops in the U.S. in the early 1950s.
Well, they were started out in Ohio, I think, on the Farmers Union Exchange, selling actually Cockshutt and co-op. And that's kind of how it got started. I mean, back then, that was a co-op, you know. There was a co-op store in just about every town where you could go buy your jeans and your food and plowshares or whatever implements you needed. Cockshutt built it, and it was Bellevue, Ontario, Canada, not made in America.
Although his co-op E2 was built in Canada, Keith's connection to co-op tractors goes back to his days growing up on the family farm in Minnesota.
Takes me back to the old days. I always liked the co-op, the nice riding tractor. They're very handy with that live power takeoff. That's the main reason my dad got it, was because of live power takeoff. They had a baler between him and his one uncle, and they did baling back and forth.
These days, Keith collects both co-op and Cockshutt classic tractors, and he notes that the co-op E2 was identical to the Cockshutt 20, except for the front nose piece, the decals, and the color of the paint.
Well, they're the same tractor, just different dressings, you know, just in color. But I happen to prefer something a little different, so I like the co-op. This is the front end of the co-op E2. And this is usually, most of them you'll see with Cockshutt on it. This one's got the co-op emblem. Well, you don't see very many of them around, not in the co-op. Everybody dresses them up in the Cockshutt. You know, and I don't know why, but that's what they do.
No matter how the tractor is dressed up, Keith says there's a lot to like about the co-op E2. The tractor is easy to handle and includes lights, fenders, and of course, the live power takeoff. The engine on this machine generates a little over 28 horsepower at the drawbar.
It's a Continental 4-cylinder, F140. It runs nice. The co-op and the Cockshutt started out with an F124 Continental engine, but it wasn't quite strong enough, so they went to the F140. This one's got the F140 in it.
In the early 1950s, not long after this tractor was built, the farmer co-ops in the U.S. got out of the tractor business, and the co-op line was taken over by Cockshutt. Eventually, the co-op tractor name went by the wayside. As much as he likes his E2, Keith is a fan of both co-op and Cockshutt tractors. So we asked him to give us a taste of other tractors in his collection.
Okay, this is a Cockshutt 60 Standard. It's a 1948 model. It was made by Oliver. Oliver made a lot of tractors and things for co-op and Cockshutt before co-op made their own. It's a nice little riding tractor. I went all the way down to Missouri to get this one. Okay, this is a Cockshutt 30. It's about 40 horse. It's got a 4-cylinder Buddha engine, and it's a nice running tractor too. It also got live power, and it's kind of what I started on. Only one was a co-op E3, but same thing.
Keith doesn't live on the farm anymore. His home is in the small town of Atwater, Minnesota. So when he parks his classic tractors in the yard or drives them down the street, the neighbors get a long look.
I get a lot of looks, as you can about imagine. Some people like it, some don't. I've had good neighbors. They haven't bothered me any, or I try and get along with everybody, and that's it.
That's it, except to say this is a guy who plans to keep on keeping on. when it comes to preserving his prized pieces of farm tractor history.
I think so. The more that we get around and then, you know, we get to all these shows and keep showing, and I never knew they made a co-op. I never knew they made this, you know, and because it's part of history, and I just can't see it going away. I don't know, it's in my blood or whatever. Yes, I have classic tractor fever. It's contagious. it's I don't know about symptoms, but it's fun and you get to meet nice people.
Hey, thanks for catching Classic Tractor Fever. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel right here on YouTube. You can also find even more videos and branded merchandise on our website, ClassicTractorsTV.com.